Namaste, and welcome to TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, where truth is shared to bring life and light to the dark areas of our lives, hailing us all in His name.
Welcome to the Renaissance Chronicles. I am Renaissance Christos, your advisor, your host, your friend who's glad to be here with you during this time and just loving the opportunity that we're getting a chance to share. And as the fall sets in, you know, we are looking for life to either slow down or we're thinking about the holidays and so many different variances that are different this year that make us look toward that new earth we've been talking about. And there are three things that I will say that will help you on this path, the TRE path. That's to realize everything. And that is that when you have good thoughts aligned with good words, followed by good deeds, you will have the good life. And good, you know, represents greatness over obstacles daily. That's right, family. I'm glad to be here with you once again as we recap our previous show, which is a part of a three-part harmony, I'll say. The first show was about good thoughts and what we need to do as far as we get ourselves prepared for the next step. Because that mind, that mental place, the secret place where He dwells, that's the place where growth comes from, where life comes from, where your answers that you're seeking come from. Because if you're looking to man or your local politicians or the television or social media, you're going to miss the ball. But if you begin to close in those areas, minimize the distractions, that's right, things that pull your attention away from the good life, you'll miss it. And I want to say thank you for staying with me. This show has been an enlightenment to me. It's helping me out as well. So I pray that you're getting something out of it. And I dare you to share. Now, that's right. That's the challenge. Because we're going for diamond souls. So now that you know what the whole premise is, let's talk about good words. The thought about good words, when I would ask my students back in the days, I was like, what is the most important weapon, a most powerful weapon in the world? And I would love the different answers that we'd get, and we'd discuss it for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And maybe one student out of 75 would get it. And they would say, it's the tongue. And I was like, exactly. This thing, the pink tornado inside of our mouth, has the ability to start wars, end wars, share peace, stir up division. This mouth, along with the thoughts, can change anyone's life. I dare you to try it because, as I said, each thing that we do is a 7-day journey, but this is going to be the rest of our life destination to the good life. And the story that really gives me a good start is Jesus and the hoe. Yeah, that's right. That's why this is the TRC. Because I can say that without any, I have to fit into a box. Because the story goes, Jesus was hanging out at the Mount and they were having some teachings and people were around. And of course, I can imagine Jesus, you know, just sharing and people being involved and engaged. And some of his haters start to come around and they want to discredit him. You know, like a lot of people may try to do to you when you go to work and try to make you feel less. They're trying to discredit you, but you have the words to give you assurance, protection, and deliverance. So anyway, these guys came up and they found this lady who was just in the middle of some prostituting acts. And they was like, we got it. We're going to get this guy. And the story goes, they came up and said, hey, Jesus, you know, Messiah, being sarcastic in a way, like, look, we caught this lady in the middle of doing her job, getting paid. The law of Moses says, by rule, she is supposed to be stoned to death. See how people try to use the law and perversions to fit their own demise? Because that's why I said their demise, because they were using these words like, hey, you know the law, trying to trip Jesus up, and Jesus stopped and bent over and getting writing in the dirt. Notice he didn't respond. See, a lot of us today, we're reacting. And I want us to slow things up and start responding. It gives you a chance in a second to breathe, listen, and there's a verse coming up that's going to really tell you about what it can actually do to empower us. Short version is, so Jesus bends down, he's writing in the dirt. The ladies there, all the guys. He was like, let he who has no faults in him at all throw the first stone. Now, they found her guilty. They, in their group, decided that they were going to make a mockery of her and Jesus. Jesus said, okay, if you have no faults, you go ahead and throw the stone. See how words, he didn't get into an argument. He didn't try to show his degrees. He didn't try to show how much money he had. He didn't say because of this. He just said, he who has no sin, cast the first stone. So easily. That's the power of words. They left. And then Jesus, he had some more words before the story ends. She's like, where are your accusers? She said, they've left. He said, this day go away and sin no more. He didn't say, I know you didn't do it. He said, go away and sin no more. He didn't preach a sermon. He didn't baptize her. He just gave her a simple message. And that was all she needed to follow. See how easy it is, folks? We didn't see where she went to an altar or she paid these tithes. Or he just said, go away and sin no more. Speaking life gives life and helps you flow with life. The reason why today's topic is so great to me, good words should deliver assurance, protection, and deliverance. Get it? Good words, when you speak words that are good and breathe life, they give assurance, protection, and delivery. And for that one, it was the verse that I remember in church for the assurance. It was when they were giving the benediction, because church was long. And when you heard, all right, it's time for the benediction, there was this verse, and I never really paid attention to it until I found it, and it was Psalms 19:4. And it says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. And we would say amen. We'd hit the door. I promise you, the kids were the first ones at the church trying to just get into some devilment or whatever we do. But those words, but then I went back and started studying them. It says, as we talk right now, you and I, let our words be simple and true. Let the thoughts from our heart be pure and about life. And please let it just be accepted in his sight. That's it. That's not a hard way to go every day if you choose the language that you use, because it brings about assurance. He also gave us a verse in Proverbs 13:3. Now, this one can help anybody who loves to talk. And I've been around people who just talk. 2 years straight, I did maybe 10% of the talking. I did a lot of listening. We'll get to that later, but 2 years straight. And this verse always came to my mind. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his mouth comes to ruin. Family, you're wise. You got what it said. It said, if you guard your mouth, you preserve life. When you have life, you're able to give things to others, share life with others, share your light, share love, so forth. But if you open your mouth all the time, your life is going to be a bunch of destructions, disappointments, down failures, and things of that nature. So if you want to be in a place where you know you're moving forward and have assurance, guard your mouth. Slow down what you're saying. So that's why this goal, it gives us 3 parts to get us to a place of the good life. And that's the greatness of it. It also gives us a chance to talk about the purpose of the assurance, because assurance, when I look the word up, it means like a safety or something that gives you faith that something is going to be done. And speaking less, as I'm going to ask you to do with words, doesn't mean you're thinking less. But when you speak less, and because you're thinking more, it leads to better thoughts. Try it sometime. Try not to dominate the conversation. Just listen. It is so powerful. And listening is a great part of communication when we talk about good words. As a teacher, I learned that the more I lectured, the less the students learned. But the more we discussed and I listened accordingly, the better they grew. That really showed me that this part of communication is so basic and simple, but it's overlooked. We don't listen anymore. And when I think about listening and assurance, it takes me to one of my favorite books that I'll give to you to tell you to find a copy of. I'll endorse this one in a sense. It's The Art of Communication by Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, I've seen him on Oprah a few times, but this book it's a simple book, maybe about 50, 60 pages long, but it's simple information that can change an entire world. Listen to this about listening. Deep listening is a wonderful practice. If you can listen for 30 minutes with compassion, you can help the other person suffer much less. If you don't practice mindfulness of compassion, you can't listen long. Mindfulness of compassion means you listen with only one intention: to help the other person suffer less. I got a story at the end of the show that it'll talk about listening and how you can get a person to go from in pain and torment to suffering less in less than 24 hours. I promise you. So when we talk about these words, we know they give us assurance. What about protection? You're like, well, that's the verse that, I remember back in church, I kind of shared it on another show, but it's James 1:19. And I missed this part. The beginning of the verse says, know this. It didn't say, this might happen. It says, know this, my beloved brother. Let every person be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Swift to hear. Compassionate listening that we just talked about. Listening so the person can suffer less. That's where that protection comes in. Your listening can give them protection. See how good words can affect you, and using less words can affect them? And another verse that came up with the protection was from Romans 3:13. And it's talking about people who talk all the time. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Because this show, I don't want it to be long-winded. I want it to be succinct. It's a fancy word for to the point. But people who talk a lot, listen to what the comparison of them is from Romans 3:13. Their throat is an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of asp is under their lips. I didn't say that. So you might not believe this Bible, but listen to the language and get the point. That those people who speak every day and say they have so much and they brag about this and that, their throat is an open grave. That means nothing is going to come out of that. And they use their tongues to deceive. And the venom, that means the words that they spit do not bring about life. The thing is, if you bring about life, you're bringing protection to yourself and those who hear you. So I love it. So slow down your words. Let your thoughts be simple, and then let your words be pure. So that way you'll begin to get to the deliverance part. Because the whole beauty of our love words is deliverance. That's a phase I think I am in my spiritual life while we're talking. Being delivered from a lot of things that have occurred over time, but there's no bitterness. Because I know my deliverance is coming. Just like you, for you taking the time to listen to this show and start to think about your thoughts and let your words be better. That's what we're looking for. That's the good life. Greatness overcoming obstacles daily. And when you think about it, the stories that we read, do you ever repeat them to others? Like sharing, like, well, I read this and this happened and this character did this and they showed this strength. And do you ever do that? Because that's what we're doing right now. I'm just repeating positive stories, trying to get us to imitate the characteristics, not the people. Because we're in 2021. We're living during a pandemic. We're living through a time where people are trying to figure out whether they want to take care of the climate or make profits. And so many companies are wondering why people are leaving. It's because of this, and I'll share it with you, because people and companies have put profits over people. They might hate me for saying that, but family, they have put profits over people. I've been in too many different industries and organizations, and I see the same exact thing. A great mission statement, no follow through. Yeah, a lot of good words. Sound very well written, but empty rhetoric. That's why that verse, when we talked about good words from 1 Corinthians 13, comes back when it says, though I speak with the tongue of men or of angels and have not love, I'm nothing no more than a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Let us be more than that. Let our words bring assurance. Let our words add a layer of protection, and let our words bring deliverance. Just like the verse that I have from Proverbs 10 and 11. Watch this. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life. Fountain just coming out. But the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Think about it. If you don't believe me, turn on your news. You'll hear it. Turn on social media. But the thing is, the voices of righteous and of light, those voices are not being promoted. But I'm telling you to look for them, because just like Psalms 119, 105, this is what words can do. He says, your word is a lamp to my feet, a light to my path. His word, lamp. A lamp is a small thing, like I have 2 lamps right now as my lights, and they're making it where you can see me better. And it also is a light for the path that you're on. That means it's going to be dark around you, and you don't need that much light. All you need is that light. That's a lamp and a pathway for your feet so you can go and never stop. Good words, family. I love good words. And to bring it to a closure with a nice quote from Maya Angelou, she said, a bird does not sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. So when you hear these birds chirping, they're not just out here making noise. There's something going on. Other than that, there's no sound. Family, let good words begin to flow from us. Take the time and listen before you let that thought come out. Capture it. Guard your heart. Guard your lips, as it said. And to give you a short story to end this and bring it to closure, the compassionate listening, it works. And I'll share it in this industry that I'm in. I work at a hotel desk, so you get to see a lot of different people from different states, different countries all over the world, I'll say. But I met a Southerner, and she was not in the happiest moods. And I remember just getting on my shift, 10 o'clock at night, I work the night shift. So she came in and she was upset that her drink was hot and the ice machine wasn't working, and I was a target of her anger. And she came in and she started to expound upon it, and I was sitting there and I told her what I could do to help her, which was very little because it was out of my control. And the help I offered, she just did not like. And so she just basically cussed me out and just go in. I'm standing there just like you and I are looking. This is the look on my face while she's doing all the cussing. And I just listened to her. I shared the information I could, and she just walked away and stomped out the door. And I was like, wow, that was how the night started. But luckily, I knew she was going through something because I had done nothing. I had just come to work, and the machine was not mine. I don't, I can't fix these things. Long story short, she comes back the next night. I'm on shift, just got on again, and she starts talking about the drink machine again. And I'm like, oh. And I said, oh yeah, I'm the guy from last night. She said, oh, you're the guy? She was shocked. So I walked and I showed her where the other ice machine was at and a better drink machine that actually worked. And it was closer to her room. And she was like so appreciative of just that small gesture. Now, I could have gone back and said, well, she didn't have the right to say that to me because I could have gotten in my feelings. That's what I'm going to ask you folks. Get out your feelings for 10 minutes. Get into your thoughts and let your words come out, because within 30 minutes after that, her son came down to the lobby and he was like, needed some help. And he was like, oh, thank you, sir. You're so kind. We appreciate everything you did. That's what good words can do. But it starts by good listening. So family, share this show. share these thoughts, and let us grow one family at a time, one show at a time, and in His name all the time. This is the Renaissance Chronicles. I am Renaissance Christos.
Praises and continual thanks to everyone who shared in this moment of refreshing water, bringing life and light to our souls. This has been TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, a Hustle Flow Media production.